Hi y'all, and welcome to my November plan with me. I can't believe it's already November, and I know that every YouTuber and blogger out there has been saying that 1,000 times, but this year has felt like a twist in time. Cinderella 3, a twist in time. Sometimes it feels silly trying to plan out for 2020 when we have no idea what's going to be thrown at us next, but planning in my bujo has given me such a sense of stability and control that I don't think I would have otherwise. So I'm excited to take you along as I set up. This month's theme is purple flowers and line art. I don't know why, but in my brain when I categorize November, it seems that purple is always the color I assign to it. I think it might have to do with the Plan With Me setup that Amanda Rach Lee did a couple years ago with gems, and that was one of the first Plan With Me's that I ever really got into and tried to imitate, so I think maybe I've internalized that. For my own Plan With Me this month, I started by drawing the profile of a woman and giving her an afro made out of flowers. I draw flowers in a really simple, sketchy way that usually involves just drawing colorful loops and sketching in with fine liner afterwards. Basically, my flowers are like blobs, but the fine liner is what adds the detail and makes it actually pretty. Some of my flowers are like the basic little shapes that you draw in first grade with 5 petals and a center, and some of them are more like peonies, where I draw a lot of squiggles in a circle that gets bigger and bigger upon itself, and then I trace them with fine liner in little sketches. My drawing skills are substandard at best, so really any moron can draw these flowers. For the profile of the woman, I just traced it from the image that I already have on my wall, and that was that. I wanted to give her a really full, beautiful hairdo, so I filled in any of the blank space with flowers. For my colors, I used an array of purple from the Crayola Super Tips pack and my Zebra Mild Liner in purple. I use a Stabilo .88 fine liner for all of my fine lining. Since the Archer and Olive notebook is so wonderful with its 160 GSM paper, I had no worries about bleed through, although I did check out of panic once. And the only problem I had was some minor press marks for the pen on the other side. But that's because I press really hard when I write, so partly my fault. Once her afro was all symmetrical and even with little sprigs of vines coming out of it, I drew in the title of the month below and highlighted it with my purple mild liner. I think she turned out really lovely, and I love her so much that I'm going to make you watch an instant replay sped up super duper fast just to appreciate the process. Our next flower lady is inspired by a Naja painting. I'll leave that painting down in the links below. I sketched in my lady ahead of time in pencil and went over her with my fine liner. She has a flower head and a woman's body. She's the quote page companion to my vertical calendar on the other side of the page. On the bottom of the quote page, I wrote the quote, "Bloom where you are planted," in my fine liner at first, and then I didn't like it. So I cut out a strip of paper and shaded it in with my purple mild liner, and then wrote out the quote again in lettering that I liked. I then glued that in place over the mistake that I'd made. To color in my flower lady, I went with the softest shade of purple that I could find. I thought it really suited this theme and was a nice contrast to the more colorful cover page. I gave her green leaves with another color from my Crayola Super Tips pack. On the other side of the page, you're going to see me setting up my vertical calendar for November. It's pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going to explain it to you anyway. I start from the bottom at 30 to make sure that I have enough space on the page and number backwards all the way to 1 for the first day of the month. You can see my pen hesitating a couple of times because I'm worried I'm going to mess up the numbering backwards and have to start over again. I also paused here to add a couple of dots to my flower lady for dimension. Then I go in and match the days of the week to the number and highlight the Sundays of every week with my purple mild liner. I wrote November at the top, layering capital letters in my green mild liner underneath my cursive script in my black fine liner. Once I had finished up with that calendar page, I decided it was finally time enough to cover up the quote that I had messed up. I really like this quote because I think it describes flourishing in difficult situations, and I think it's really beautiful in terms of 2020. You know, we all think that this year sucks and that we're stuck in it, but that doesn't mean that we still can't bloom where we're planted. Next, I'm going to do a speedy run-through of my mood tracker. I track my moods throughout the day with a set color code, so I use 5 boxes per day to categorize the expanse of my mood. It's like a vertical calendar, but with 5 boxes at the end for mood tracking. I specifically set off the weekends in this tracker so I can see how my mood might change or improve over the weekend. At the top, I write the word mood in capital letters and go over it in cursive with my fine liner. I think this makes a really nice layered effect and sets off the border of the page quite nicely. Below that, I draw the color code for my mood. Each color is assigned to a mood, like blue is for depression and pink is for happy. This makes it so much easier to see my moods at a glance, and I have a video all about it that I'll link right here. I set aside 5 whole pages for tracking and journaling and note-taking on my mood, and at the end of it, I drew a little flower border to set off the end of the tracker. Next, you'll see me start setting up my weeklies. Each weekly has a little line drawing or flower drawing on it to set it apart. I set up all of my weeklies in advance just because I haven't had time lately to set them up week by week, and I hope that it'll help a lot this month. At the top of this weekly, I drew a woman with flowers for eyes that I got from a sketch I found on Pinterest. I'll link that below, and drew in all the boxes for my days of the week. I always leave a large space for notes at the side just so I can keep track of running tasks. The boxes on the left side of the page are about 14 by 14 dots, while the boxes on the right side of the page are a full page wide with 10 dots height. I then write the day and date of the week at the top in cursive script. My next weekly uses the same system that I had used on the right side of the last page, with each row being 10 dots high. I left a space for notes at the top and delineated that with a little bouquet of flowers. I also highlighted the name of the days of the week in one of the 5 colors that I had used for my cover page. This next weekly uses about a whole half the page for notes and a quarter of the page on the other side for a drawing of a woman with flowers coming out of her neck. This one is not one of my better drawings, but I still love her all the same. Each day box, again, is about 14 dots wide by 14 dots tall, give or take a little bit depending on which side of the page you choose. It's not an even number of squares, so unfortunately, it's not perfect. And here we are at the last weekly spread of this month of November. Did you have fun? Are you enjoying yourself? Do you feel calmer or perhaps more riled up because my voice is kind of annoying? Who knows? I set up this week with vertical columns, and it was hard to do because I'm bad at math and this page doesn't split evenly into 3. Since I divided the week into 3 columns on each side of the page, there was an extra left over for my 7th day, so I did a box about 10 by the full page. I left the other part for a doodle of flowers and the bottom part of the left-hand page for notes. If you notice me pausing between right and left, it's because each time I have to motion with my hands to go which one is right and which one is left. I didn't learn my right from my left until about 3rd grade, so now I am woefully behind and I'm sorry about that. I filled in the blank space in this page with a doodle of flowers, and that's it for this month. And that's how this month turned out. I'm really happy with it. I think the purple is beautiful and I love the flowers. And I know I say this every month, but this might be one of my favorites. I know that every bullet journaler says, I know I say this every month, but this might be one of my favorites, but it's true. I get better every month, and y'all are just gonna have to deal with it. I'm glad to have all my weeklies set out in advance so that I can start planning for this month a little bit easier. Last month I only set up about 2 weeks because I just procrastinated on setting them up in advance, and then I didn't have a weekly, and then I kept forgetting events. So hopefully this will help. I'm glad to have a little unique doodle on each page too. I think that'll brighten up my week and add a nice separation to the days. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed coming along with me. I'm glad to have you. You were a great travel companion, and you didn't get motion sick, which is great. If you like this content, make sure to give me a like, and maybe give me a comment, and maybe even a subscribe. I would appreciate it with my full heart. Thanks for watching, and I hope we all have a great November.